Before we begin the video, if you haven't yet, come on down and join my Discord server. Link is down in the description. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel for my review of Season 12, Episode 4, Superstar Rockin' J. We pick up where the last episode left off with the ninja having arrived in the game, and we learn that they can't use neither elemental powers nor spinjitzu in this world. A group of red visors comes and starts a fight, and the ninja aren't doing so well, until a group of J avatars arrives and saves them. This includes Season 11 J, Season 8 J, Tournament J, and the Original J, and the latter two actually do feature J's original design with the eyebrow notch. The ninja learn how to double jump, and they fight some more red visors along with the J's. Kai dies, then later Kai dies again. Then they meet Scott, and Scott takes them to his garage, and then Kai dies again. Scott reveals that everyone in Prime Empire only has 4 lives, and that terrifies Kai because he only has 1 left. I bet he feels like an idiot now. Scott takes the ninja to his basement where Jay's hiding out along with the rest of the Jays, and it turns out Jay has like a huge cult following basically, and so the episode ends with them reuniting with Jay. So let's start at the beginning. I feel like this episode does a great job at kind of establishing the world of Prime Empire and its rules as well. It turns out that the ninja cannot use spinjitzu or their powers in this season, which I think is a very interesting setup. I think it makes a lot of sense because after all, Prime Empire is a different world, and so different worlds would have different rules. It's also a good explanation when compared to seasons like Season 5, which felt like it just had the ninja lose their powers for the sake of it. The beginning fight against the Red Visors is pretty good actually, and I'd say is probably the best of the season so far. I love how it does a great job of establishing the Red Visors really as a threatening force. Now let's talk about the League of J's, or the J Gang as it's been called, because this is just awesome fan service. I love it, and they're doing an excellent job with really showing the fans that they care in this season. Just seeing all these old J's was just such a nice touch to this episode. And another nice touch was the fact that they had the original designs for the original J's. It might be a really small detail, but I think the fans really appreciate something like that. And you know, for the Pink Zane minifigure, I know a lot of people were upset that it had the movie design, and this is kind of a nice way of saying that they acknowledge that complaint. Anyways, the J-Gang is just such an unexpected but yet really fun thing to add to the episode. One thing I really love about Prime Empire is how it kind of comments on modern gaming. In the first episode, Zane says that he finds new games unchallenging. And then in this episode, we kind of get a reference to pay to win, with the J having to buy skills, as well as one of the J's also calling the ninja noobs. I also enjoy the fact that Prime Empire has its own fleshed out system, with skills and different items available to buy, and I think it just makes it a lot more interesting. I do like the action in this episode as well, and I like that this episode kind of takes a different approach. Instead of like one main fight, there are a bunch of different smaller fights, and I feel like all of them are generally fun to watch. And another concept we're introduced to in this game is dying. We see Kai die in this episode 3 times, and although he didn't necessarily need to die that much, I feel like that is definitely something that this episode needed to cover. And the password to the League of J's is Mr. Cuddlywump, which is another small reference to Jay's teddy bear from Hands of Time. We see Scott in this episode too, and he explains the whole death process, and Scott is a cool character. I really like his voice acting. And the episode ends off with the ninja finding Jay. Not a suspenseful ending like the last 3 episodes, but I think this is definitely a nice change of pace. Entering Khan's territory, let's first talk about Kai. Kai was not awful in this episode by any means, but he still felt a little bit weird. Put simply, he feels rather immature in this episode. He thinks he is invincible and that he can infinitely respawn, which is why he loses so many lives. I get that Kai is supposed to be a cocky character, but this feels like a little bit overkill. Let's just say it's not out of character for Kai, but I still feel like he feels rather childish in this episode. Another issue is, don't get me wrong, the J-Gang is awesome, but a little bit weird at times. Some of their lines feel rather cheesy, and I don't really like how they feel more like a cult than a fan club. I mean, these guys worship Jay. There's one guy bowing to a statue of him in Scott's garage. That is a little bit weird because Jay just arrived in Prime Empire maybe a few days ago at max. If it was more like a fan club, that would make more sense, but these guys kind of bow down to him and worship him, and that is a little bit weird in my opinion. A Prime Empire short really would have helped to explain this, and also show how Jay got this large following. So final thoughts, I thought the plot of this episode was perfect. I don't have anything bad about it. In the past, the 11-minute format has worked really well for exposition episodes, and this is no exception. This episode does a great job of fleshing out Prime Empire and introducing us to it. Characters who stood out, I didn't really like Kai in this episode, but the J-Gang was good. And as for action, I did quite like the fight scenes, and I feel like they were probably the best of this season. Last but not least is emotion, which as usual does not apply here. Anyways, my final rating for this episode will be yet another 8.5 out of 10. All in all, I felt like it was a really good episode. It did everything it was supposed to do, and introduced us really well to the world of Prime Empire. The only big issues come from Kai, and a few bad lines here and there. But what did you guys think of Superstar Rockin' J? Good, bad? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, share with anyone ever you know, and I'll see you next time.